Welcome to Sense and Sustainability, your podcast channel for sustainable procurement. We hope you like what you hear. Please go to www.iso2400.org for more information, learning resources, tools, and much more.
Welcome to Sense and Sustainability. I'm Sean McCarthy, Director of Action Sustainability Community Interest Company. It's my pleasure to introduce part 3 of our series of interviews with Ali Horriyat, where Ali sets out the future of his movement Compassiviste and how he plans to bring together millions of people around the world with a common objective to deliver a more sustainable environment. So what's next for Compassiviste?
Next for Compassiviste is developing the tech and the programs to the point where we can comfortably start building on introducing people into we have an education program, all these other programs that we have, building them up so that people can start engaging and interacting with our facilities. Once people get comfortable, it's kind of like teaching people how to ride a bike. We're bringing the bikes out, we're bringing coaches out, we're saying, here, let us help you learn how to bike. Because in a year from now, we're going to have a convention where you can bike around and do all these lovely things. There'll be slopes, there'll be all sorts of things for biking. So we want you to be prepared over this 1 year. So when you come there, you don't break your arm going down the stairs with the bike on the first rep, right? We want you to be excited and be able to have these adrenaline kind of flowing moments. So this year, that's what we're doing. And we're preparing and we're getting people involved and kind of building that education, building that system and telling people to get off of the media style of this influence. I mean, you're not going to be more sustainable by liking a post about sustainability. You're going to be more sustainable when you act sustainably. So when you go to the market, start thinking. When you want to spend $1 of your money, start thinking. When you want to vote, start thinking before you do. Don't fall for the media. Don't listen to this and that. Think about what is most important to you, right? What are the factors that you want out of tomorrow? And even though they're all crooked, at least go with the crooked one who lies to you and tells you, I will do those things, versus the one who's admittedly saying no. There are people right now running for leadership positions who are saying, I think climate change is a hoax. They're literally saying that. Am I wrong? I mean, there are people who are in every country. We can probably find a person who says, it's a hoax.
Absolutely, yeah. We can all think of one, but there's plenty of others.
Right, there are plenty of others. But I'm saying, don't vote for that person, because that person is directly countering the ability to serve for the human species to survive into the future. They're directly halting that. So as bad as the other person may seem, at least they will give you some hope into some future. So, make those right decisions in every way in your life, and try to prepare yourself for being part of that collective. Because whether it's Compassiviste or not, we may be, look, Sean, it becomes very kind of egotistic and crazy in a way to say Compassiviste is going to be the movement that's going to change the world. And Compassiviste is going to be the movement that's going to reset everything. But I can guarantee one thing, and I know this to be fact, that we will have an impact. So at least align yourself with places that you believe can have impact, because it is through your alignment that the impact happens. It's through your momentum. You're the fuel in the vehicles that we've designed, not just Compassiviste, all those. Your organization, every other organization, they live off of the people who will make use of all the effort that we've put into the vehicles and instruments that we've created for them, right? Without those people, it's useless. I could have all the scientists in the world can come together and have a solution. If people do not implement this solution, there will be no solution, because it's all about implementation. It's all about the manifestation of it. So the next step for us is really getting people ready for the convention stage, where we can build this into our lifestyles. We can build sustainability and compassion into our lifestyles from an active perspective. And of course, this requires funding. It requires, part of activism today is funding, because if you're not funding a movement. It's just not a movement anymore because it can't stand on its 2 feet. Just never mind the activities and everything else, just licensing it. You go register a charity today in the UK, in the US, and anywhere, it's thousands upon thousands. And then to maintain it is another thousands upon thousands. And, there's so many things that go into it. And all of these things cost money. And it's beautiful that people have the heart for it, and people have the willpower for it, and my team is sitting there day and night and pushing themselves through it. But there comes a point where you're like, okay, the convention, excuse me, how much does it cost to rent your place out for a week for a convention? 2 million. Okay, thank you. It would be great to have the convention, but where are we getting 2 million? It's very easy. 2 million is peanuts when there's 20 million people involved. Hi, everyone. Can everybody give me 10 pence? Sure. No big deal. We've got our 2 million. But when there's Ali and Sean scratching their heads and thinking, where are we coming up with 2 million? Sean, how much is your house worth? Can we refinance? Ali, what do you have that we can, kind of put into this? But you still come short. So when people want change, don't want change the way you want to enjoy a movie, you for free or something. Like, even at the movies, you pay to watch the film. If you think that you can have a system where you just go to the theater and enjoy the film and have your popcorn for free and leave and have a good time, it's impossible. You're going to pay for the popcorn, you're going to pay for the film, and whether the film is nice or not doesn't matter because you still paid for it. At least here, organizations like ours are promising people some kind of activity. We're promising them something that they wanted, right? That's where we are.
Brilliant, thank you. I could talk about this today. This is fascinating. But a final question, if I can.
Sure.
And a lot of people in our audience, we're all consumers, of course we are, but they're also professional procurers. They're people within organisations that spend their organisation's money and make choices. And it's quite tough for some of those people to make the sustainable choice. What would be your advice to them?
Give me an example.
Okay, so for example, lots of hard-pressed procurement people in, say, manufacturing organisation that's say making motor cars, and motor car companies know the price of a motor car right down to the last washer. Everything is priced, and the whole way that person is incentivized is basically to reduce the cost. That's what they're at. They need to make more money. But these, more and more people now have a social conscience, and they want to try and find ways of making a sustainable choice. Or people who buy services, say, that they buy cleaning services or security services or whatever, where what they're buying actually is quite a lot of low-paid labour. But once again, I'm a procurement guy by background many, many years ago, and it's all about the price, and you get rewarded for how much money you can save. But what we're trying to do is shift that paradigm a little bit. So I'm just interested in your thoughts on how that might be done.
First of all, we have to come out of the slave owner mentality. So right now, to be very honest, and the only way I can answer this is to really say this brutally, we are slave owners. You and I are both slave owners because we are using all of the possibilities provided to us based on this inequality that gives us the platforms we're in. So what we're trying to do is, and I've written a book, it's called Capital Racism. What we're trying to do is to say, that's exactly what you said earlier was the book's theme, is if my goal to maximize profit after really knowing that I can't get metal any cheaper than I am to build a motor car, I can't get tire any cheaper than I am, rubber, everything's at bare minimum. Where is the only place I can reduce cost? Human labor. What's cheaper than the cheapest penny you can give? Slavery. So let's institutionalize slavery because that is the way we're going to get a lot of money into the empire.
Yeah, it happens a lot.
Right? It happened a lot. And now we have the same model. We just changed, the way we do it so that it's no longer because we've all abolished slavery, and the voice of the people has been loud enough to say, we will not buy a product. Literally, we will not buy a product if we know that there was an active, slavery. If there's a country that says, we accept slavery, it's okay, we have slaves here, you can come and make your cars here, I think nobody would buy those cars, because the ethics is just so high right now about slavery that we have abolished that, literally. But we agree two things. One is, if the cost of labor is really low, they're still getting paid. So technically, legally, it's not slavery. So we somehow hypocritically buy that. And the second is, what I don't know is not my fault. So I'm buying the book, and a child bound it together and glued it with their own finger, and they've lost all their fingerprint because of the glue and everything else. But I don't know about that. I don't know that Nestle has kids picking up their coffee when I put it in my Nespresso machine and enjoy it. I don't know that. I've never seen it. Sorry, I can't be blamed. But no, you do know it. You do know it. So, accountability comes up, and that becomes a spiritual issue. We need to raise that. And that's where Compassiviste, the compassion part of Compassiviste, comes in. So your question to me, although I come from an economic background, I have a degree in economics, is not an economic issue, because that was the problem in school for me. Everything was so theoretical in equations that it took out the element of humanity. You see these equations of expenditure plus this and that equals revenue. You forget that there's humans involved in this. So that's when you kind of fall back on somebody like Karl Marx. And I don't believe he was pointing towards USSR kind of communism. I don't believe that's what was in that person's mind, or Frederick Engels' mind. Those people were not thinking that. Kind of like Nietzsche did not inspire the Nazi movement, but somehow it got connected. But I don't think Nietzsche did. So to me, they're all spiritual questions that you're asking. This question you ask is very spiritual. It's a matter of, what are we okay with? That's where the change happens. Are we okay with children we can't see being enslaved? Are we okay with factory farming? When we go out and we eat that steak, are we really okay that this animal was, brutally tortured for years? I don't know. A lamb is a baby. Are we okay with that meat? And it's so tender and soft, and we price it so high, and some of it comes from different parts of the world that are so expensive. Are we okay with that? Those are the questions before getting into the technicalities of at the governmental level, or at the producers, manufacturer level of the car company. What implementational systems can we place into this to make them more sustainable? Those become questions that we can easily get into in terms of the economics of it and the engineering of it, when we admit that we are past the point of thinking of profit. So to me, a car manufacturer's ideal should be this: I'm going to make the best car for a specific type of purpose, and I'm going to make it at such an affordable rate that, while we as a community of car manufacturers and my manufacturing company will survive, because everybody's getting a certain wages that will allow them to survive comfortably and not suffer financially, economically, and in their household. I mean, people get divorced over financial issues, right? Which, if there weren't, otherwise the family would be together and those children would grow up in a very different state of being. So all of those things will be okay. We won't have those problems. And we're going to give the consumer the car at that price point where we can take care of ourselves in the manufacturing. So, Ali and David and Sean and everybody else has a certain amount of income based on their needs, and they're fine. Now, how much does that car cost at that point? It'll cost $10. Okay, let's just sell it at $10. Can we sell it at $40? Yeah, because there's a lot of competitors selling at 40. No, we shouldn't. Let's not go there. Let's not think, because that is where the problem is. That is where I think Marx touched on, which people are not really getting at, is that extra that doesn't fit anywhere other than the fact that you want to hoard money for no reason, right? Just to have a bigger home, but at what cost? So to answer your question, fix the spirituality, fix the human problem right now, because we've evolved socially. We used to be this genetic formation of innate compassion, and that's why mothers don't eat their newborns. I mean, that's the easiest meal they could have had back in those days where it was hard to catch a meal. The easiest meal would have been eating your newborn.
Yeah.
Defenseless, tasty, tender meat. Why didn't we do it? Because something within us, before the thought of capitalism, in that sense of capitalizing on anything, opportunism, so to speak, built up on us, we had love. And today there's no love. Today is, should my neighbor die to benefit me even a tiny bit? Yeah, kill them twice over if I could. That's the idea today. And we need to get out of that. We need to really get out of that. So fix the spirituality, you will fix the economics, because the mind will not allow itself to go into that dirty space. When it cannot go into that dirty space, you cannot have capitalism in the sense that we have it today. So that's how I would answer it.
Brilliant, thank you. I think there was something in there that you said as well about we don't know and we need to know. There's a real willingness, as you say, a kind of mental thing that says, look, if I don't know about this, then I don't have to worry about it. Well, actually, I understand what you're saying. If you can fix the spirituality, then that will encourage people to ask those questions.
Yes, because you will ask, right? Because you feel like you need to know. You feel like you go into the books. This is what I tell people. I tell them, hey, next time you buy a book, I'm okay with the fact that you're, addicted to paper and you cannot, move out of it. I'll give you that. But let me see you buy a book knowing that the chances of a child being part of this book production, you know that now. You know there's a good chance that a child was behind this book. I want you to walk into your bookstore, and when you're buying your child a book or yourself a book, go to the counter and say, can you tell me where this book was actually physically bound? And if they can't, do you have the guts to put the book down? And tell them, I cannot buy a book that I don't know if a child was involved in its making. That is the spiritual issue. Fix that, the economics will fix itself.
Fantastic. I think that's a very good message to end on. Ali, thank you. That was mind-blowing. I really enjoyed it. I'm sure our audience will enjoy it too.
And thank you for having me. And thank you for all you do. And, I don't know, people come on your show, they talk about themselves and everything. But I want to say, the reason that people like myself exist today trying to do what we do is because you existed, right? And it's really because not just you as Sean, but people like yourselves who were doing these things in archaic times of sustainability discussions. I mean, I come across people who are like, I wrote this paper in 1987. 1987? There was no climate change in 1987, right? As far as I know, it started with...
There was, but we didn't know about it.
Right. As far as I know, climate change started a couple of years before the pandemic, and that's really it. So thank you, really, honestly, with all jokes aside, thank you for treading these paths that nobody had been on and trailblazing and really creating those spaces, because without you, I would be that ignorant person as well. I would be the person that I'm warning against. So I always say this, thank you to people like, yourself. I mean, without Sean McCarthy, there would be no Alan.
A few others, yeah, but it's a lot easier now. It was, in the 90s, trying to do something different was bloody hard work, and trying to persuade people, corporates, it was all about risk. The only weapon I could use is your business at risk here. You've got reputation risk, you've got these things. And they're like, but it's never really going to happen, is it? But
and even later, it was and then even later, it was incentives. I mean, the reason why Tesla became Tesla was government incentive. If that didn't kick into the formula of Tesla, I wonder if we would have this transition.
Yeah, and that's been really transformative. The whole change from to actually having a desirable car that's electric. Yeah, I mean, I really looked at Tesla and then I bought a Jaguar. But
yes, but see, that's kind of the beauty.
Tesla, the electric Jaguar probably wouldn't exist.
Right, and that's, see, people sometimes say, oh, you have a lot of socialist communist thoughts. I say, no, I love competition in its healthier manner. Look, what Tesla did is it brought competition. Like you said, today you could buy a Jaguar that's electric. You could buy, a Rolls Royce that's electric. And you can buy a Peugeot that's electric, and you can buy Toyota everybody has the option. and you can choose within your budget, within what you're looking for, the style of vehicle, all of those things. So competition does not mean necessarily that it has to turn into the cutthroat capitalism that we have today. It could be healthy competition. The same thing happened during the pandemic. I mean, these pharmaceuticals, although they had alternative reasons, but they still competed to come to the market with a vaccine soon enough that saved us. I mean, a few million people died, but a whole lot could have died. A whole lot more could have died. And it's because of competition, not because of, state management that we had these kind of, because I don't see any of those countries come up with solutions for the pandemic. It was the free markets that allowed these spaces to come out and do whatever they wanted, throw some money at them and say, heal us, keep us alive, please. And they did, right? So competition's healthy. We just need to change the mindset. It's not about capitalism. It's not about corporation. It's just about mindset. Come into that healthy space and everything will be fine.
Yeah, it's thinking about competition in a different way. It's competition and collaboration. I mean,
Yes.
the pharma companies around the world all work together in one way or another, but also competed. And what we try to do in the UK through the supply chain school in the construction sector is we say to everybody, when you come to the school, you leave your competitive weapons at the door and you work together. Because do you know what? Climate change, modern slavery, social issues, all of these things are bigger than all of you. Now, how you apply what we collectively develop through the supply chain school, that's where you compete. So we do something about, plant and, diggers and more sustainable stuff for the construction sector. Now, okay, off you go and see who can get to these products first, who can use them in the most effective way. That's the competition.
That's healthy competition, right?
Yeah, it is.
So solar panels, another example. I mean, what you're getting out of the energy you get out of a solar panel today versus the first model that came out, very different. Computers, I mean, what you're getting out of your laptop today versus the mainframe that came out in the beginning.
Oh, yeah.
Those are all healthy competitive advantages. But, we just need to change the mindset so that we maintain this competitive advantage in a way that brings healthier solutions to the table with people thinking deeper and deeper about issues and in a sustainable manner, because there's no point in coming up with, imagine we come up with the cure of cancer, but at the cost of extinction. It makes no sense.
No point.
Right? We need to come up with the cure to cancer at the cost of sustainable existence. So, and harmony of some sort, because cure me from cancer so that I can go and kill Sean. No, right? We need to have that mindset there so that the technology can be assistive, right? When we have the right mindset, we're not building bombs, we're doing something else with our education.
Absolutely. Wonderful.
Again, thank you very much.
I think we better stop there, yeah.
Right, we should. You should just stop.
Thank you for listening to our podcast on sense and sustainability. Please listen out for more episodes. For more information, learning resources, tools, and much more content on sustainable procurement, go to www.iso2400.org.